Mutongoria wa bururi kana minister wa ugitiri wa thiini wa bururi Kipchumba Murkomen augite mirurungano ya mbeu njithi irakorirwo igitabanio icigo-ini itiganite guothe bururi-ini irari na itanya ria kuhagura thirikari ya mutongoria wa bururi Ndagitari William Ruto indi kuririkana mbeu njithi aria moragirwo mwaka umwe muhituku. Akiaria na andiki a mohoro Murkomen augite itanya riao rirari kuiyukia bunge ya bururi undu umwe na thingira wa iregi. Oho augite kurari na andu aria marahurite njeki mbeu njithi aya na njira ya kumahe mbeca ihinda-ini riu. Augite andu kihiria mararutitwo kuma kaunti-ini cia Nyeri, Murang'a oro undu umwe na Thika na icigo ingi itemi-ini ria kuhagura mutongoria wa bururi Ndagitari William Ruto hamwe na thirikari yake.
What unfolded yesterday was not a protest. It was terrorism disguised as dissent. There was no peaceful demonstration. It was riots, chaos, and anarchy. Let me therefore state unequivocally that we condemn the criminal anarchists who, in the name of peaceful demonstrations, unleashed a wave of violence, looting, sexual assault, and destruction upon our people. More than 10 Kenyans were killed. Investigations are ongoing on the numbers and the circumstance that this happened. Over 400 were injured. Close to 300 are police officers. Some left with injuries they will carry for the rest of their lives. To the families of those who suffered harm, both members of public and security personnel who bore the brunt of violence, and those whose livelihoods were shattered, your needless pain is our collective sorrow. Key government installations and offices were targeted. At least 9 police stations were attacked, 5 of which were torched, including Dagoretti, Molo, and Olkalau, to name a few. 88 police vehicles were destroyed. A total of 27 national and county government vehicles were destroyed, and 65 civilian vehicles parked in various police stations, including a school bus, were burnt. The criminals were aiming at the officers on duty. They were after guns in the armories and the police uniforms. 5 firearms were stolen in Dagoretti Police Post, Kiambu County, while 4 were burnt at Kashui Police Post by the very criminals who hid behind the pretense.
Tugithina mbere ni ati thirikari ni teteire ikinya rĩao rĩa kuhoria umemerekia wa ceceni imwe cia TV kurumirira mukana uria urarekereirio ni ruhonge rwa umemerekia guku bururi-ini rwa CA kuringana na minister wa ugitiri wa thiini wa bururi Kipchumba Murkomen. Augite ni makorwo ni mehariirie kurugama igoti-ini gutariria ikinya riri kuria CA iraugite gutire karavisheni irabatie gukorwo ikimemerekia imwe kwa imwe mirurungano ira irathiaga na mbere ya mbeu njithi guku bururi-ini maya marathie na mbere. Riri ceceni ici iria ni ceceni ya NTV, KTN, Rodoma na K24 ihandite cira igoti-ini makiregana na ikinya riri ria kuhorerio mitambo.
Directing the protesters, and they are saying, oh, now they are in Thika Road. As soon as they converge with the ones in Kiambu Road, the possibility is that they will pass through Museum, and State House will be very near. You see, that is really very irresponsible journalism. Of course, the gentleman from Standard knows that Standard now has stopped being a newspaper. You know, the headlines for the last 2 months or 3 months have always been about security and insulting people without resorting at one instance to ask for feedback from anybody, not even any person. Now they have these interesting headlines that pass judgment on the Inspector General of Police, the Minister, the President. Of course, the President lives on their headline. I understand the desire and the tough economic times for newspapers to sell. But that cannot happen at the expense of our country. And this is really of great concern to me, that the media houses were expected to have self-regulation. Apart from, at the end of the day, even the media houses are doing business in Kenya. If this country bans, just because you wanted to sell newspapers, you wanted to do media engagement, it's a loss to everybody. And more importantly, let me say this, that it is unfortunate that political actors are relying on media. It's not becoming independent enough to give both sides of the story. For example, you will hear that yesterday's report is reported as the protesters have arrived somewhere and they are looting. And you are still saying the protesters have looted shops. The protesters have done this, and you can see they are criminals. Meaning that the characterization of also the criminals, we are not taking the greatest responsibility as citizens. You've watched international media.